This is video 10 in the series on Agentic Retail Operations. We get to see another impact of Agentic AI together with retail standards under the Association for Retail Technology Standards, ARTS, umbrella. This video will focus on how are customers and employees stealing from retailers. I am the Wizard of POS, and this video is brought to you by ShopVisor. Start with how customers are stealing from retailers. Start with the most obvious, which is concealment and physical removal. That is, hiding items in baggy clothing, purses, strollers, or shopping bags, or wearing extra layers to hide merchandise. The behavior is hiding merchandise and exiting without paying. The arts entities impacted start with item, that is, the merchandise being removed. An inventory control document measures your shrink adjustments. Your stock ledger deals with inventory variance. Your loss event, this is the shrink incident record. The point of sale transaction, it's absent. In other words, no sale was recorded. And the store location, where the loss occurred. And the security event, optional entity for incident capture. The next one is price tag manipulation. That is simply switching price tags to pay less at checkout. This is replacing a high value items tag with a cheaper one. And the arts entities impacted. First item, the true identity of the product that it was scanned. The sale return light item, the scanned item versus the actual item. The price modification. This is the unauthorized price change. The retail transaction. That's inaccurate sale data. The employee. This is if the cashier fails to validate that they have the wrong one. And the loss event. The under-ringing loss. Next one's distraction-based theft. This is kind of an interesting one. This is where groups come in and one person distracts the staff while others steal the goods. The behavior is groups distracting associate while others steal. The arts entities impacted. There's an interaction event. That's a customer-employee interaction. There's a loss event. That's the theft itself. The inventory control document. Again, a shrink adjustment. The employee. This is the one that was involved in the distraction in the store where the incident happened. The opportunistic theft. This is taking advantage of a poorly monitored environment, the unlocked stockrooms, or inconsistent procedures. Behavior is taking the items from unlocked stockrooms or unattended areas. The arts entities impacted. The backroom location, this is where the unsecured inventory is. The item, of course, what was stolen. The inventory control document, which has the shrink adjustment. The loss event, that's the incident record. And the store, the location where this happens. Why is this stuff interesting? The arts entities can help you identify what happened and where it happened. That's why they're all being listed. We looked at the 5 ways that customers can steal. Let's look at some of the ways employees can steal. Employee theft is often more damaging because the staff have system access and operational knowledge, so they can figure out how to beat the system. Start with the point of sale. The number 1 is cash theft and register manipulation. In other words, they're pocketing the cash or they're skimming from the till and they're manipulating the cash handling processes. So the behavior is removing cash from the door or manipulating till counts. The arts entities impacted. The till itself, of course, that's the physical cash drawer. The till count transaction, so you've got manipulated counts. It says you've got less than you really did. The tender control transaction is the actual cash movement, money coming out of the till going into the safe, for example. The employee itself, that's the actor that's involved. The retail transaction, the ones that are falsified or voided, scanning a bunch of items and then voiding them out, and then taking the money and putting it into your pocket. And then, of course, there's the loss event, which is the financial shrink. The next one we'll look at is fraudulent refunds and exchanges. So issuing a fake refund to themselves or to an accomplice. They're processing returns without merchandise. So fake returns, refunding without merchandise, and refunding to oneself are areas in this world. And the arts entities involved, of course, is the retail transaction. You've now got a return transaction. The return line item, that's the item that was fraudulently returned. The customer, it may be a fictitious one. The tender line item is the refund tender. The employee is the actor again. The item, it's the inventory that was falsely increased because you fakely scanned it in. The inventory control document, this is a correction after the investigation. And of course, the loss event, which is the fraud incident. The next one we'll look at is underringing or sweethearting. Now, in most retail, this is a little bit more difficult today because of the scanning world. But intentionally undercharging friends, family, or accomplices, you bypass the scanning procedure completely, directly tied to loose pricing procedures or enabling undercharging. So you intentionally undercharge accomplices. The arts entity is impacted versus the sell and return line item. You've got an incorrect price or quantity. The price modification, that's an unauthorized markdown. The employee, of course, the cashier performing the act. The retail transaction is the manipulated sale. The customer is the accomplice with them. And the loss event is an underringing loss. This is kind of an interesting one because it's much more difficult today with the scanning environment that exists. The next one we'll look at is merchandise theft. Now, this is one of the easier ones. You simply take the item from the stockroom and you just walk out without paying for it. And you exploit backdoor access. The behavior is just taking items from the stockroom or the sales floor. The arts entities, of course, the item, that's the stolen merchandise. The backroom location or store location, that's where the theft occurred. The inventory control document, this is the shrink adjustment. The stock ledger will have a variance. You think you have more than you really do. The employee is the actor, and the loss event is the internal theft. Retail shrink reached $112.1 billion in 2022 just in the United States. The employee theft accounts for a large share of these major losses, often more severe than the customer shoplifting. And shoplifting incidents have become more violent, increasing safety risks to the employees. So where does ShopVisor come in? And why does it have an unfair advantage? Because art standards leadership was done by the people who are creating ShopVisor. I'd like to introduce briefly the fourth member of our team, Jerry Hines. Jerry Hines we've made him the CEO of the company. He has 20 years leading large-scale consumer platforms at Amazon and NVIDIA. He pioneered GPU hardware in the cloud for AI and media. He is an incredibly talented individual, and he is going to run ShopVisor and take us to the next level. So who is Tom Sterling? Tom Sterling was the lead data architect for the Association of Retail Technology Standards. He shaped the industry most widely adopted retail data model, now in its 7th major release, and implemented by retailers including Costco, TJX companies, AutoZone, Weiss Martin, and Giant Eagle. And there are companies all over the world that have used this data model. His work spans the full retail data lifecycle, from unified commerce and master data management to customer lifetime value analytics, promotional pricing models, and omni-channel order integration. Tom has consistently delivered measurable outcomes, including a complex multi-system Costco e-commerce integration, combining Oracle, Informatica, and DB2/400s into a single enterprise sales view, and a point-of-sale data modeling engagement for TGX that clarified integration dependencies and accelerated development timelines. Tom brings both the strategic perspective of an executive and the technical depth of a hands-on architect. He's a unique individual. His track record includes reverse engineering legacy transaction logs, building dimensional data warehouse extensions, and bringing the gap between business stakeholders and technical teams. He translates complex data integration challenges into actionable, business-justified solutions. He has also designed and delivered arts training and webinars for the data modeling teams at major retailers, with a particular focus on retail transaction processing, customer analytics, and key performance indicator sourcing. He also wrote much of the KPIs for the business intelligence work in arts. He has designed data models for loyalty programs, planogram, international tax compliance in Brazil, his stored value instruments, and customer segmentation, all grounded in real-world retail operations. He takes the data world and turns it into something really useful for the retail world.
My name is Dennis Driscoll. I have over 30 years of experience in retail technology, software development, integration, and consulting, specifically in point-of-sale and e-commerce technologies. I'm a retail guy, programmer, manager, problem solver for the companies I've worked for and with over a 40-year career. I've worked with retailers, vendors, and system integrators. It's this experience I brought to arts and has enabled me to look at problems across multiple angles. I was a member of the Arts Technical Committee from 1999 to 2015. As a member of the Technical Committee, I contributed to the data model, the OPOS, UPOS, JavaPOS standards for device drivers, and I co-authored several of the OMG Arts RFPs.
I am Richard Halter, and I was the CTO for arts for over 20 years. And so I was involved in building all of the art standards. You can see all of the various messages, the data models, the unified POS devices, the RFPs, the blueprints, integration reports, and the retail business process model. I helped build all of that. And it covers over 90% of what exists in retail and C-store and in food service environments. And to help people understand it, I wrote a book explaining all of this. And I've also created over 70 YouTube videos that are targeted at senior retail executives. I try to explain things without getting too deep into the technical things, like if you want to understand how blockchain works. It's a high-level overview of that. And I have trained major retailers and vendors all over the world. I've traveled over 1 million miles on this, and I've taught them how to solve their number one problem, integrating applications from a huge number of different vendors. Thank you for listening to this final in the series on Agentic Retail Operations, brought to you by ShopVisor. If you need more information, you can reach out to any of us as a part of this team. Thank you.